Hey guys, WeQuilt Studio here, and today I thought I would um, just kind of talk about uh, these outlines, satin outlines versus columns. And there was a question in our Facebook group, and somebody asked, how they would get this corner here to be smooth like this one. And a lot of people wrote in and said, well, you have to convert it into a column. And that always does fix it. Sometimes you don't have to do that. What I found is if it's already a gentle point, like for instance, these down here, as long as you combine your outlines, you can still keep them a satin outline instead of a regular column. And I'll show you what I mean. So these two blue ones here, they're outlines. And if I go into normal view or vector view, you'll see that if I select one of them, okay, that's the bottom one. And you can see a little red dot up here. So it ends up here. And then you see there's no scissor. And this one has a little red dot on the right. So it ends here, meaning it starts here, right where this one ends. And you would think, well, there's no scissor. They're connected. Sometimes you think they're connected, and Embird is so precise that they're really not connected. And the way you know is if I, select them both and go to transform, combine outlines, they went into one object. But if they don't, that means that they're really not connected. Try to show you an example of that and what you would do in that case. Let me find one that I don't know if I made one like that. Let's see. If I took, let's see if I did it with the heart. Let me see. Let's Control Z back. And on this heart, now this heart is one object, but I believe I made it. I started making it up here with like a circle, and I cut the circle and so on. You could see up here that I have, if I go into, edit mode on the top one, you could see it starts here and ends here. And then this one, you could see it ends down here, which means it starts here. So then you think, oh, okay, there's no scissor. So where this one ends, this one starts. So if I do transform, combine outlines, you would think you would get just one object like we did with this one. But I didn't. And then you're like, well, what is going on? These should have combined. Well, that's where Embird's precision prevented it. So you would take the second one and you'd hit edit, and you'd come up here. You have either align beginning, meaning beginning node. Okay, you have to be in edit to get that. Align, let me hover again. Align beginning node to previous object. So this beginning node will go to the previous object. Let me try and zoom in. Okay, it looks like it is, connected to the previous object. But if I hit this, it'll probably move so subtle we'll barely be able to see it. So I'm going to click this. I didn't even see it move. That's how precise Embird is. So let me just hit the check mark. Let me hit Control 1 to zoom out. Whoops, let me select them both and hit Control 1. So now I'll try the combining, transform, combine, and now they become one. So that's one thing that for any of these situations where you want something to be smooth on just an outline, the first thing you have to do is combine them. And if combining them does not make them smooth as it did in this heart here, let's go up to the heart. So the heart, I must have already combined it, but let's say, let's edit it and let's just go down here. And I have it starting there, so let me make sure I have it starting up at the top. So I'm going to click that, right click, place start point here. Now I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to split it. Okay, so now they're two separate objects. And usually that's how I make my hearts. I end up, you know, I like, whoops, I deleted the wrong one. I kind of wanted to delete this one. I kind of take, you know, a circle and then I cut the circle with a guide. I'll show you what I mean. I make a circle, just an outline circle. I'll try to make it somewhere. And in this case, click once, shape, ellipse 16 elements. I'm not holding control, I'm making kind of an oval in this shape, in this case. Hit enter twice, right click on this corner and I'll slant it, something like that. And then I'll bring in a guide to kind of cut off this portion of it. And I'll select this and then I'll select the guide so it's red and then right click and slice selected objects. So this is my selected object. My guide is going to slice it. Now, one thing to note about that trick, you cannot have your guide locked to use that. And you have to first left click on it to make it red and then right click. Okay. Slice selected objects is gray. I'll give you a second to answer why. The reason why is because nothing is selected. So let's go ahead, let's select this again. Usually I select them over here so that I don't move the object, just so you know. So it's selected. Now select the guide. The guide is red. Right click, slice selected. And so you say nothing happened, but you look over here and it's split. So this part I delete. These two parts, you know, they're in two different parts because this circle must have started, you know, over here somewhere. So again, you know, if I edit this, this is ending here. Okay. So I can move it up, right click, let go, insert before. Okay, now I have no scissor. So this one is ending here. This one is ending over here. If they weren't starting and ending where you wanted, in other words, if I just left this one down here and I have these scissors, I could have just did edit and then reverse nodes order. But that's not really what I want. I really don't want that unless this one ends down here and you could see it ends at the top. So I have two steps. Edit, I have to reverse this nodes order. Now this one starts here, ends here. This one starts here and ends there. Now you'll see there's no scissor again, but let's see. You would think that if I did transform combine, they didn't combine. And it's like, oh gosh, they were a circle before that was combined. Yeah, it's weird. So I would take this one, hit edit. Now here, align beginning to previous. This one is grayed out because there is no next object. So you click that, and you barely saw anything happen. Now you combine them, transform, combine, and they're combined. And then generally what I do is I make an S. You can see I made an S, and then I just take that S and copy and paste it, and then I use that because that's a perfect curve. I can use parts of it. There's no areas that are, have a sharp square node jutting out. I can shrink it and I can use it to my advantage. I can rotate it and so on. And I think I had a video on how I make those, but generally you just take your outline tool, you snap to grid over here, and then you click and snap, and then you usually go down enough so that you have a middle grid. I don't have a middle grid, so I have to come all the way down to here and snap here. This one now is halfway between, and then you bring that one and snap. I hope it snapped to the grid. And then you come down the same amount, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down here. So I came down 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you come over, and snap. So that's how you make an S. And then that's just, the sky's the limit. You could do anything with it. But for this, I really just need a C. That's all I really need. So to finish out and make a heart. So generally, I'll just, so I'll delete this one. I'll just come in with my outline tool. I'll have snap to node on. Uncheck that for a minute. And I'll click, and then I'll look for a place where, I want to make just a C to come down. I might be able to go there and then kind of, now this is cut by the guide here. So I really should have locked my guide if I'm going to snap to the same guide and click snap to guide up here. I can't do it while I'm in edit mode. I'm going to just see. Okay, so I did snap to the guide. And I also have snap to, I don't have snap to grid. Let me unclick that. And now snap to grid and guide. So let me see if I can move it without touching the guide. See how I went slightly away from it so I wouldn't touch the guide. Okay. So I think, whoops. I think I can make a C shape here. No, I can't. To make my C smooth, I have to probably snap to node down a little bit more. A lot more. Okay. Because see how, remember in like algebra or even trigonometry when they would talk about the tangent line to a curve? A tangent line is a line that, like say, starts here and ends here, but it only intersects this curve in one point. Well, that's what we kind of want to see when we adjust this. We want to make it so that this really is only intersecting this point. So it's kind of, it's not that hard to do. And notice how far down I had to come. So I'm just going to hit enter and see how I did. And then I'll go back to this one and hit edit. And I'm going to, the end one is already selected, so I don't have to touch it because if you notice, I still didn't do edit lock guides. So I'm just going to hit delete, delete. And remember, this is snapped to a node. So this one I can hit delete. I think I'm good there. Let's see. So now, no, I messed up. Control Z. Okay, bring it back. So this was obviously snapping to a round node. That's why when I deleted all this, I deleted a round node. And whatever I snapped to should have been a square node. So let's go back to this and hit edit. See, that was a round node. So just kind of click kind of next to it, which clicks it, and then hit insert. Now it's a square node. Now I can kind of click next to that or hit end on my keyboard and delete. Now I'm good. Okay, so that's kind of how you can make a quick heart or half of a heart. Now you see we don't have any scissors, and this one is ending, I can't tell. It's ending at the bottom, and this one is ending at the bottom, which means it's starting here. So you would think transform, combine would work, and it did. Sometimes it does. Now that it's combined, we go into edit, and they always go to the ending node, and we'll just do this one here, duplicated mirror, and there's our heart. Now on this heart, it's still just an outline, you know, it's all one, okay? And let's see, since, you know, remember I says with outlines, as long as you combine them, then try and do a satin and see if it looks smooth. If not, you have to convert it to a column. So let's go ahead into params. I'm going to do a width of 3 so you can see it better. Oh, wait, you first have to click satin and then do a width of 3. Okay, and I'm going to apply. Okay, so let's just see what that looks like. That one is smooth, okay? But here's what happens. You see, where is it? Which one is it? That, did I delete the other heart? That was, oh yeah, because that was half of it. Let me go ahead and take this heart and edit, and I'll just mirror that one. And I believe the params on that, okay, we're satin at 3, apply. Okay, that's the one, if you recall, let me move this one out of the way. It, you know, it had this at the bottom, and that's when you say to yourself, well, everything is connected. If I go into normal or vector view, you know, it's connected just like the one I just made. You know, it's the same thing. What is the difference? Why did one work and one didn't? Let me find this one. Okay. And I guess I'll have to move this back over somehow. Well, what's the difference between those two? They're both outlines. The difference is this one is narrower, you know, whereas this one has a more gentle angle, a wider open angle, this angle here, whereas this one's real tight. Because I can take this one, and this is another tool that you really want to use. Let's just hide this one for a minute, just so I can take this one and move it up. If you go into the transform envelope tool, that's your friend because that lets you work with Bezier curves. You don't lose any of your curve. We're going to do everything, 2 curves on both horizontal and vertical, and we're going to do symmetry on both. So whatever you do to one side happens to the other. So if I click here once and then click and drag it, okay, it's actually changing that. So let me Control Z. I don't want that to happen. So that would be my, I always get confused. I think we just want horizontal. Let me make sure. No, Control Z. We just want the vertical. Okay. So as I bring that down, you know, my curve is still nice, but now we've got a sharp curve. Let's generate stitches. And let's go into 3D. And lo and behold, we don't have, you know, that finished corner that we like. So that's because it's sharper. And if you notice, your angles of your satin are not gently sloping the way we like them to get that point that we want. Like the one I just hid. Where is it? Okay. You can kind of see how the angles kind of gently slope down. Well, that's a column. Columns will try and do that. And with a column, I can edit that and I can actually make it even better, a better transition where this, you know, from here, from this angle to this angle, Embird tries to make this change. Same token, from this angle to this angle, Embird tries to make this. But we can even make that transition better, just so you know. And the way you do that is you copy paste this, Control C, Control V, make that one yellow so you know to delete it. Go back up to the pink one and hit edit again, and then just come in and maybe we're going to slide along object edge. That's what we want to snap to. We'll just delete that. And we're going to make this angle a little bit more on both sides. So we're sliding like that on both of them. And then maybe we'll take this one and see, we're snapping to that yellow one that we copied and pasted. And, you know, that's how we can make this one even prettier. And so now when we hit generate, it even looks better. So this purple one, you can see these lines when you have the outline, they don't have a lot of choice. So, because they're just an outline. And that's what, you know, makes it difficult sometimes when you have something tight like this. So then, where's the purple one now? This one. Okay. If I go ahead and I do convert, create column from outline, I'll make it 3 wide. And it comes down here. But when you do that, the original, what is it now? The original purple one. Oh, it's down here still. It's still there. And I always, you know, that was one thing that wasn't consistent, because usually when, let me show you again what I just did. I did convert. Oh, it is consistent. I'm thinking of another program, sorry. So one thing to remember, usually, and I'm going to say usually, I believe it's all the time. I think it's might be Studio Next has one mistake that doesn't follow this rule. But when you have the word create column from outline instead of say, um, you know, convert some column to fill, then that column will become a fill. You won't have a column and a fill because it's just convert column to fill. But here we're under the convert tab, but it's the word create, so you're going to get two of them. So you're going to keep your original. That's why we kept this. You know, that was pretty long, wordy explanation, but at any rate, so I'm going to hide the outline. Here's what we created, okay, from the same sloping outline that didn't generate nice. And if we hit generate, you're like, what is that? That's interesting. And you see that in a lot of other softwares, you see that cap, and some people really like it because when you have a long, if this, say from here to here, we had it the other way, sometimes that's too long and you'll get a hole here. So a lot of people want it capped, what they call a capped corner. Well, if you go into the parameters for the column right here, it's an auto corner. Okay, so if Embird has to do an auto corner, it will, but we're in columns. If I uncheck that, it should, as long as this isn't too long, like over, was it 12 mils or long? If I hit apply, okay, we got that other one. So this from here to here, if I hit okay, take my measuring tool and just kind of, okay, it's 8.45. But if that were, I can't remember if it's 10 mils or 12 mils. I think it was 12 mils. If that would have been longer than 12, I think there would have been an issue. So let's just see. I'm going to try and do it. I'm just going to do it with this and see. I might have to put this in the center. So let me just, with this selected, I'm going to do transform center horizontally and then control 1 to zoom in. Put my cursor down here. Okay, it's centered, but it's not centered. Oh no, that's a guide. Okay, let me edit. Erase. I didn't want to erase that guide. That's okay. Let's go into normal view. Okay, it is right on the grid. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to hit edit. So it was 8.45 mils. Oh, this is, I must be in inches. Let me just hold this and I'm going to snap to grid. It doesn't want to help. Let's see. Snap to grid and I'm going to come down. I'm going to snap there. That's pretty long. Let me measure that before I generate. Oh, 20 mils. Okay, that's not going to be good. So let's just see what, oh, that's kind of cool. I should have fixed that, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to see what happens. So remember, we had auto corners unchecked, and there's my hole there that I was talking about. If I go into params, you know, it didn't make an auto corner or a capped corner. So let's see if it fixes it if I click that. Okay, it didn't make it capped, which is interesting. It kind of did this little overlap, but you know, it did kind of fix it. And it's interesting to me that it didn't make it capped. That's one thing we don't have is actually the word capped. So I don't know, maybe this is too narrow to make a cap. I don't know. So these are just kind of the things that you want to consider. So this example down here, which was the Facebook example, yeah, this one, all I did was I noticed that her outlines were not combined. Grouping outlines and combining outlines are two different things. You know, just because I right click and group these, they're not combined. So you're still going to have this. If I regenerate, you're still going to have that. But if I go ahead and I think even with it grouped, I can combine them. If I go ahead and I do convert, I'm sorry, transform, combine outlines, okay, so these two are going to be combined, hopefully, if they're beginning and ending in this correct spots. This one ends here, and then this one starts there. Yeah, so ending here, starting here. So let's see, combine outlines. It did combine, okay. So with it combined, now let's generate. Oh, when you combine them, they revert back to being just an outline. So let's go into Satin. I'm going to do 3. I think I had them at 2 or 3. I don't remember. And hit apply, and there you go. It's smooth. So in this case, see how gentle this slope. This is almost a 90-degree curve. It did do it beautifully. So we didn't have to convert this to a column. But if I were to go ahead and say, go into transform envelope, and again, I'm going to go into normal view. Let's do 2 curves just so I get all my nodes. So right here, so I've got vertical. I think on this one I need it to be horizontal. Let me see what happens. It's nice. You have to click it once to select it and then do it. Okay. So that was the one I wanted. So I'm making it so that it's more narrow here. Let's see now when I generate. Okay, it still is smooth for this one. So let me try to find the breaking point. I wish these would stay to the last one you used. I think they do in Studio Regular. So let me take this and click once to select it. I gotta be in normal view. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to kind of bring it up so it's narrower. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's a little clay pot. And generate. Okay, there we got the break. So see how making it more narrow, we have the break, even though everything's connected. But when I do convert, create, not create, fill. Get that. Convert, create column. Okay, so I'm going to be keeping my original because of the word creates. Let me hide the original. Let's go to that. We've got a little bit of a bobble we have to fix. We have to edit that with the outline tool. So, but let's just see. Let's just generate it. So it is trying to do just, even though auto corner is checked, if I uncheck it, there might be a subtle change, not much. Let's check it again. And let's go in and edit that. So, and it's interesting because I have this starting point over here. So with something like this, you want to copy paste this so that you can snap to, say, this node or, you know, what have you. So you want to do Control-C, Control-V, make that yellow. Click the original, edit. And now we're going to snap to nodes. And so right here, I got to think about what is going on here. Okay, I'm going to delete this node. Okay, because now I have a dotted line there. this is not connected. Let's see what this one looks like on this side. Okay, we've got an issue here. I'm going to go ahead. If I delete this, which way is this going? It's going that way. So this node belongs to this. So if I delete it, notice how that one stayed. Now, I'm snapping to a node there. And this here, I could snap to object edge. Here, just to be smooth. So that's how that one looks. So, trying if I zoom out. Okay, I can still see right hold. And let's see, if I go into normal view. So I would say this one, okay, see how this is dotted, and then this is like the ending. This is the beginning, and this is the end. We can try this up here, close edges. Okay, it's snapped. And then this almost looks like it has to snap there, and that has to snap. And it kind of looks like I got it. So let's see. No, because I deleted something. This is grayed out. I have to add a square node somewhere. So, because with columns, so let's see. If I hit end, this is the end, because this is highlight. I hit end on my keyboard. So beginning and ending. Okay, so I'm trying to think. I'm missing a no. This is where I do get confused. Oh, now it's green. I don't know what I did, but it's fine. So now check. Okay. And if I generate now, let's go into 3D. We don't have a smooth corner there. It's kind of like overlapping, and I can see my old yellow one. Let me delete it. Let's go into params. Let's see if I uncheck auto corners, because sometimes auto corners makes this overlap if it doesn't make the cap. I've noticed that. Let me hit apply, and that did it. So there are just so many little intricacies, and then here also, if you want to keep this, you do have to copy and paste this again and adjust your direction line so this gently goes in to this angle, and this gently goes in to this angle. So you would copy paste it, turn that yellow, and then click on this one, edit, go into normal or vector view, and you would start adjusting your angles. Now, I noticed that this one doesn't even have an angle, so let's click it and put end of segment. That gives me an angle. That means it has nothing to snap to. So in that case, I'm going to click here, insert to make it square. And now I'm going to put end of sec. Now it has something to snap to, but you notice I kind of want them to be going the other way. So I'm going to snap to object edge. I'm going to slide this one down, slide this one up. Did I want them to go that way? No. Well, these are going that way, whereas this is coming down more. So I do have to go this way, I believe. This is a tough one. Maybe I do have to change it to go that way. in which case I have to start. There we go. See, it's not easy when you first, you don't want to move this one. So you kind of, you can take this one and move it, slide it. You can take this one and slide it. Am I going the right way? Wait. Yeah, I am. And, you know, take these and slide them. I almost feel like we need more down here. Okay. This probably has to slide more. This one doesn't even have one. I could turn these two into square nodes just by hitting insert if I want, but Embird will take care of this gradualness. Let me just see how that looks. So I'm just going to hit generate because that'll do it all in one step. In 3D, let me hide the yellow. I mean, it is a little better. This one looks better. This one could use more help, but you kind of get the idea, you know. So that's kind of, it's kind of two issues or two stumbling blocks that you have to consider with your outlines if you want them smooth. The first thing is to connect them by combine outlines, you know, transform, combine. And the second thing then is if they don't combine, you have to click edit and align original or align beginning to previous. And but before you even do that, you have to make sure that they are in the correct order and one is beginning and ending in the right place, in which case you have to click that reverse nodes symbol here. Here's your align beginning and ending. So that's your first step with your outline. Your first two steps is combine them, and if they don't combine, get them to combine by doing the align beginning and so on. And then if you still don't get something smooth, then you have to convert it to a column, or just slide it up, maybe go into the envelope tool like we did before and slide it up so it's not so steep of an angle, and then you could still leave it as an outline. If all else fails, convert it to a column, and then sometimes you do have to edit your column like I did, and you have to adjust the angles on your column. So it's really interesting. Like, there's so many tools in Embird, and there's just so many ways to do the same thing. Like, you'll notice this one, I started with this shade, and then I just copied and pasted it, Control C, Control V, and then I transformed, flipped it horizontally, held my control, moved it over, and I actually, I believe what did I do? I think I tried to make a fill, so I selected both of them. Let's bring this one down, right click, insert before, and I converted to a fill, create fill, so the outline's still going to be there. That's why you see something like this in here. This is the satin, but that was kind of my fill. And I believe after that I thought, well, I would like it to kind of be more pointy here, have more of a angle. So I took one side and I kind of pulled it away. I know I could have done it, other ways too, but I was just experimenting. Let me hold control. Oh, it's snapping to something. Control C. Snap objects to grid. Go back in a normal view. Okay, so I believe now I'm going to have to hide the outlines. It did something like that, and at that point, you can even do an auto outline on it if you want. They're overlapping just in one spot. Let me hit save. I always hit save before I do auto outline because sometimes you lock it up if you do it wrong, if you auto outline the wrong things. I don't want to arrange them. Here's my two outlines. Here's the one I don't want. Delete that one. And then these two, you know, they're scissors, so one of them has to be reversed. Let's just reverse that one and see if that did it. Yes, it took it away. Let's try to transform, combine them. It combined right away. Let's do a satin. Let's do 3 again so we could see it clearly. And let's hit apply. And I can't remember where this is starting and ending, but look how gentle this point is. You know, everything is beautifully smooth. You know, but if we take this, let's hide these bills so we don't see them, and we go into transform envelope, and let's do 2 curves, and I'm going to go into normal view, and I'm going to click once here and bring this up. So I'm just symmetry is vertical, and I'm going to generate stitches. Okay, I combined it so it went back to an outline, I think. No, it didn't. I don't even know what I did now. I forgot, but let's go into params. So it is a satin still. Okay. And it's still smooth. I guess this isn't steep enough. It's like, I'm fine, you're fine. So if I were to do it steeper, you know the gig now. And I'm doing this in Studio Regular because everything is faster. But you can apply this all to Studio Next. So again, I want to be able to see my nodes better. Normal view. Okay. 2 curves. That's what gives you the center. And I can take this. Now, if I grab this, is it going to make that one go? I might have to click horizontal. Let me see. Yeah, it is. So now it's really narrow in here. Let me bring it down and you know, it's still narrow. Okay. And let's generate and see if that ruined it. Okay, there we got it. So there you go. We have to convert it to an outline. I mean, to a column. So, yeah, it's just crazy. Just the things that you realize and, let's see, convert, create column from outline. Yes, but the outline is still there. Hide the outline, go to the column. We have to edit it because this was so drastic that even our column has to be edited. It's not going to generate well. So, you know, we would go in and edit all that. We'd copy and paste it first. So, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm, you know, of how Embird works and everything. So now I would hit edit and I would delete these, delete that. This one here, you just kind of want these to come down and then this to come up. I'm not snapping to anything. Let me see if I can snap to a node. I don't think there was a node here to snap to, no. It would just be object edge, snapping to the yellow. So maybe right there. Okay, so this one. Ah, I'm not making much sense. Okay, there we go. So, and then this one would, so each of these two would have to come together and somehow snap here. That's why if this were centered, it'd be a lot easier. I can try to close edges. Okay, it went to that one, so I'm going the wrong way. I can reverse direction. And now, say if I hit close edges, now that one will snap. Okay. So that might have fixed it. Let's hide the yellow and let's see. Okay, so there you go. And this is not too long. We don't have a hole. Almost have a hole. Almost. So in which case, if this were centered, you could just bring this node down, but it's so much easier to just do the envelope, to be honest. I just feel like it is. The envelope can really be your friend. Let's do 2 curves. If I bring this down, is that gonna click once and then bring it down? It's not really bringing that point down. So I'd probably have to do that in cancel in just edit mode. In which case, like I said, I'd probably want to bring, because I don't believe I can hold control and bring this down. I'd probably want them both to snap to, see, because this is not an object edge. The dotted lines are not the object edge. So I would have to center this. So I would have to do transform, center horizontally, then control 1 to see where the heck it went. And then zoom in where my cursor is, then hit edit, have snap to grid on, just uncheck all that, and then move this down, and this one, close edges. That's not going to be pretty right there. So there is a grid here that I could snap to that might, on both sides, but I have a feeling it's not going to be smooth here, in which case you would delete both of these and then try to make it smooth. I know that everything is in our way now, but I can't even see what I'm doing. But you kind of get the idea. Yeah, I still got points here. So I would have to go in and edit that better. But as far as generating, it does look a little better. And even with those points, they don't really show up too much because of the satinness of it. And then sometimes you can go into params, and if you uncheck auto corners, and even if you uncheck auto shortening, that fills in more. So that did fill in more. And if you uncheck that, it really fills in. So there's just so much to know and to experiment with and to realize, what are my steps? So there you go, guys. I hope this kind of opens you up to possibilities and just areas that we all struggle with. Believe me, I've been doing this, God, is that 30 years? Not 30, I'm not that old, but a long time. A long time. At least 25 years. But I'm always discovering new things. And when people ask questions, that's when my brain is like, oh yeah, I kind of know that. Like, I never put it all together. but I can make some connections here in my brain to make some statements, you know. So, all right, we will see you next time, guys, and enjoy Embird. And remember, you can write me anytime or text or, well, I don't know about texting, I don't know. But message is the same thing, but yeah, anytime. I'm always there to help. All right, and like and subscribe. I only need, what do I need? 23 or 22 more subscribers to reach 1,000. I know I should just call my family and friends and tell them to subscribe. I don't know why I'm not doing that. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.